I think it's clear, though, at this point, and you might not agree with me, but I think it's clear at this point, they have a goalie problem.
I don't think it's a goalie problem.
Well, in this sense, here's where they have a goalie problem.
Okay.
If you're trying to win the Stanley Cup, which is their stated goal, I thought Freddie Anderson showed you last year what he did in the playoffs, showed you he could be good enough to help you win the Stanley Cup. I don't think Ranta is just now a backup.
Yeah.
He's not anything more than that. He shouldn't be playing any more than 20 games in a year at this point. Kochetkov, they want him to be something that he's not right now. And it happens a lot with goalies where you'll see them flash in their first or second year.
We saw it last year.
And then they fall off. Okay. Kochetkov, you give up 2 goals in the first minute of the game.
That's oversimplifying.
2 goals in the first minute of the game. But if it was just one game, Joe, I would say to you, fine. But go back to the Colorado game. Go back to the other games in that first West Coast trip where they really struggled in net. And if you can't, with Freddie, with the health issues to Freddie, this is a team that has to make a major move in goal or they will not achieve what they want to achieve this year. That is clear to me on December 7th. That has been crystallized to me.
Am I trying to say that goaltending's been great? No. Goaltending is part of a problem, but there's a larger problem for the Carolina Hurricanes. And I put that strictly on the defense. The defense has not been good.
Their defense needs to be better.
Their defense, which is supposed to be, and on paper, one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the NHL, with the best defender in the NHL, and Jacob Slavin, has been bad. Straight up bad. They have been incredibly inconsistent on a night in, night out basis. Does Pyotr Kochetkov need to clean some things up? Absolutely. But when you let Edmonton and their star players like Connor McDavid and the crew get in front of Pyotr Kochetkov like they did, I mean, they basically were just able to get right in front of Kochetkov and get what they wanted. And when you watch the replays, what do you see? You see one defender trailing. You see a guy out of position. You see guys not selling out, which is something that Jordan Staal after the game called out once again.
Yeah, we better. It's not great the way we've been kind of up and down this season, and we got to flush it quick as you can, and we got to start buying into what we do. And to a man, I've got to be better. I've been very average from the start of the season, and there's other guys in this room I know that need more or want more for themselves, and we got to start believing in the way we play and what we do, and we'll try again tomorrow.
This is twice in less than a month's time where Jordan Staal, the captain, is overall questioning the buy-in of the team. And Rod Brind'Amour had an interesting sequence after the game where, I mean, look, he says that, yeah, man, you want to have those goals back. You know, being down 0-2, 13 seconds apart in the first minute of the game is not how you want to start things, but it went beyond that.
You know, any sign of this game coming? It looks like we've been
no,
fairly
because
well.
we had one of our best games of the year the other night, and we lost that one. And that's the hard part, because for this year, how it's gone, we've played pretty well and gotten nothing out of the games we've lost. This was an absolute, not what we've seen. But you get those during the year. It's definitely one I hopefully we obviously don't repeat.
Does it start with maybe not getting a save early if you would have gone a save?
No, that's part of it, but you can't blame them on that. You don't blame them on that. It's just we weren't ready. The face-off play they ran, we showed it 15 times before the game, and we fall asleep on it. So that's just preparation. Guys weren't, dialed in, and it happens. 82 games, you get a little sleepy, but not against teams like that where they have the talent they have. You can't give them a second, because that's what happened.
So that's Rod Brind'Amour after the game. And the part that made me raise an eyebrow was that part about we showed them this 15 times off the faceoff, and they still just did not execute. They were sleepy. And look, Rod is right. In the course of an 82 games season, you're going to have some nights where you simply don't have it. I know on the TNT broadcast, Rod almost channeled his inner Coach K. You could tell he was hanging out with Coach K recently. He was this close to being like, wow, it's like they got snatched by aliens. One of those press conferences that every so often Mike Krzyzewski would do. So I think there is a larger problem for the Carolina Hurricanes right now that goes beyond goalies. They could go out and get somebody to replace Freddie Anderson, who we don't know, due to health concerns, is going to come back. But that's still not going to solve their defensive inconsistencies and more for a problem for the Carolina Hurricanes. The thing that I'm most concerned with, I think defensively, they'll finally find themselves again. They're too good to be this sloppy like they've been. They're too good to be this sloppy. You got to score, man. You got to score. And if you want the biggest indictment for the Carolina Hurricanes and their offseason moves or what they want to do, they just don't get the dudes, or the thing that I'm starting to see percolate. And I think it's a perfectly fine conversation to have. I know Ryan over at the Hockey News brought this up in his post-game report from last night's game. You have to start wondering about the system that puts these guys in a place to create a bunch of shots, but not exactly cash those shots. They're basically counting on creating the chaos in front of the net, and things will eventually burst open. I remember having these conversations the last 5 years when it comes to the Carolina Hurricanes. They'll say, hey, we're creating chances. We're creating chances. It's going to break for us. It's going to break for us. It's going to break for us. The system that got them to this point is awesome, but I do wonder if this system is ultimately handcuffing them when you have to find other ways to win. I knock the Dolphins for being the exotic car that if once a gasket blows, they can't recover. That's my concern with the Carolina Hurricanes. If you are not running on time, if the system is not completely working the way it's supposed to be, then you just fall apart like this and you have nights like that. That's what prevents you from being a cup contender. You have to find other ways to win if it's not working the way you want it to go. I love the belief in their system. I love that the hard work ethic is ultimately what's going to push you over, because Rod Brindamore knows no other way. But based on what I've seen so far this season, the system is not working on a night in, night out basis. And that is more than a goaltending problem, Joe.
They have some issues that go beyond a bad performance by a goalie.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the teams that they're playing and who they're struggling against, that to me is the red flag.
Okay.
Going back to that other trip when you talk about losing to Colorado and the way that they did,
mm-hmm.
at home losing to Tampa the way that they did. The game that Rod's referencing is the New York game when he says we played our best game of the year and we had nothing to show for it. They played the Islanders on Thursday. They absolutely dominated the Islanders and controlled them.
Mm-hmm.
And Kochetkov gave up some goals that he had no business giving up. I'm just telling you, you're right when you say systematically they need to get their head screwed on, both in the forward group and defensively.
Mm-hmm.
The Orlov thing is kind of sort of fascinating, right? They added Orlov as almost like a bonus piece, but he does seem to be throwing off the chi a little bit.
That can get fixed over time.
Okay. Which I think is, you got to understand what you're trying to do. You got to understand the culture. They may need to understand he's not going to get it. I don't know the guy.
You're right about that.
I'm just saying they added him as like this bonus thing. They might need to move him in a trade to get a goalie. They might need to move some other guys that they don't want to give up in order to get a goalie. Based on what I'm telling you, it's almost like we love to talk about quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
MJ Morris, right? When NC State went to MJ Morris, there was a jolt.
Oh,
there was a jolt.
That's a classic hockeyism where the guy in the net, it goes from the goal mouth out. There's a confidence.
You got to believe in it.
Yes, you got to believe in it.
I think right now they're putting this guy back there,
mm-hmm.
and it's like there's too many games like the Islanders game,
mm-hmm.
not this game,
mm-hmm.
right? You're right. A guy comes in, what the hell he's supposed to do? It could be Patrick Waugh back there. What are you looking for here?
Right.
Marty Brodeur and the day of like the dead puck and winning 1-0 ain't gonna happen.
When you literally have some of the best NHLers,
but
camping out in front of you.
But that's also the problem. Like I'm saying, it's who they're losing these runaway games to.
Yeah.
Tampa, Colorado, Edmonton,
mm-hmm.
right? Like those are the nights when you say, oh, it's an 82 game schedule. I could forgive you sleeping through the Blue Jackets game. I could forgive you sleeping through the San Jose game.
That was Rod's point.
I can't forgive you.
Mm-hmm.
And they beat Edmonton in Raleigh 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So you know who had this one circled, and then they had 6 days off. Fair enough.
Yeah, but sometimes teams come off those 6-day layoffs and they have nothing.
And they're rusty, but fair enough. They were jumped and ready to go. But like those are the kind of nights you gotta be popping. I was slightly disappointed in the Winnipeg game for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, wait a second, okay, you figured some things out. You beat Buffalo at home. That was like the payback for the Islanders loss, right? You got to keep those things going. You have to play a certain way to do that. They're not playing that certain way. And I have faith that they can solve that. But I'm telling you right now, they have to solve this problem before they can solve their other